Hello friends, Ben Ochart here. Thank you for tuning in. Over the years, I've put in certain safeguards in the fish room to safeguard against disasters. And I want to go ahead and cover them with you. I have about 10 of them, and certainly you can probably add a few to the list. But let's go ahead and cover 10 safeguards that I have in place in the fish room to prevent disaster. Safeguard number one, I keep my canister filters in Rubbermaid tubs so that in the event of a leak, they're not going to destroy my, my stand. And inside the tub, and this is safeguard number two, I have one of these. If those two electrodes there are connected, have a circuit that is closed because of water, because they detect water, what will happen is that this over here, this alarm will go off. It's called a watchdog alarm, and that will tell me that with a very loud shrill that something is wrong. Safeguard number three, not sure if you can make it out, in this sump underneath the 210 gallon, but I have media under there, and that media is the sponge filters that go inside of an internal filter, and those are building up beneficial bacteria so that in the event that I need to set up a tank right away, I have a seated filter that I can just get going immediately, one of those Expertmatic internal filters. So I have seated media ready to go in case I need to set up a hospital tank, quarantine tank, let a fish recover because of aggression, or give a fish a break, anything like that. Another safeguard I have is every one of my tanks has a battery powered, lithium battery powered air pump that is going to kick in the event it detects a power outage, and this will allow the surface to get broken up with bubbles, so there's always oxygen in the event of a power outage. Safeguard number five is I use controllers. This is a heavy-duty controller from Gemco, and I have the two heaters that are heating the 300 gallon plugged into it, and there's a unit exactly like it rated for 1800 watts behind the 210 gallon as well. So my tanks all have controllers, and they prevent heaters from malfunctioning and cooking the fish. Another safeguard against disaster are uninterrupted power supply UPSs, like this one here. This is about 1500 watts. It can run for 5 to 8 hours depending on the load in my fish room, depending on what I plug into it, and it'll keep the fish room running in the event of a power outage for about 5 to 8 hours. So definitely invest in something like that, or perhaps put a generator, splice a generator into your system that kicks in the event of a power outage. Another safeguard is redundancy, and by that what I mean is having a backup, in this case 2 filters, so that in the event that one breaks down or one is getting serviced, the other one is handling the actual volume of the tank without really falling short. So having a backup filter, having 2 filters in place is a great idea. Redundancy, always a good idea. And or have a backup, have a filter up on a shelf somewhere that you can access real quick. In the event of my larger tanks, like this 300 gallon here, there's of course the sump, but I also have an FX6 on this tank, and on the 210 there's the sump that I showed you earlier, but also a Sun 704B. So again, redundancy, dual filtration, something that can kick in the event that the other filter has failed or is being serviced. Another safeguard is to keep your heaters low in the tank, lower than you would do a water change, and that way there's very little chance that you're going to drop the water line so low that you burn out the heaters. Of course, a lot of heaters have auto shut-off now, and I do believe these aquarium co-op heaters do have safeguards against burning out because of a low water level. But keep those heaters, if they're the long tube type, keeping them horizontal near the bottom of the tank isn't a bad idea. Another safeguard is to have a spare tank handy, like this 55-gallon, which can serve as a quarantine tank or a hospital tank. Having a tank available, because I have big fish, I have to have a big quarantine or hospital tank. But I also have, if you go over here, you'll see there's a little 5-gallon that I also have ready in the event that I need to move a fish and medicate them or quarantine them for some reason. So having a tank ready like that is always a good idea, especially if you have aggressive fish that sometimes you really have to intervene with drastic measures. And I think this is number 10, actually quarantine fish. Any new fish that you acquire, even from a trusted source, even when the fish look good, put them in quarantine. Like I have these little bumblebee platies right now. Put them in quarantine, keep a good eye on them for about 30 days. I don't necessarily medicate while they're in quarantine. I just keep an eye on them, watch them, see how they're behaving, see if they're eating, active, if they're showing any signs of disease like spots or frayed fins or something like that, you know, something that shows me they might be sick. And after 30 days, if they're looking good and eating and acting right, I go ahead and add them to a larger tank. So those are my 10 tips for safeguarding against fish room disaster. I hope I gave you 10. Sometimes I'll be one short, or sometimes I'll give you a bonus. Hope you enjoyed those. Share your tips in the comments below, and I hope to see you on Saturday at the Cichlids and Coffee live stream. We'll talk about this and everything else related to fish keeping with a great group of fish keepers from 11 a.m. Central to noon usually, and hope to see you there. If you'd like to support the channel, give the video a thumbs up, consider subscribing, hit that notification bell, and support the channel on a monthly basis by becoming a Patreon supporter. That's for as little as $3 a month, and details are in the description under the video. Thank you for tuning in, my friends. See you later. Bye-bye.